Lawrence, it's great to have you join us on the Stanford Founder Podcast today. To start it off, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're building at Willow.
Yeah, so my name is Lawrence. I would be a junior right now at Stanford. I was CS. And I guess a bit of background about Willow. We're currently building a voice dictation app, in the hopes of in the future building a voice dictation sort of or like a voice interface. Um, in general, well, I can sort of I guess give a brief timeline. We started doing YC end of our freshman year. Ended up pivoting around for an entire year within healthcare. Um, Back then we were four co-founders. Two co-founders left back in December of my sophomore year. And what ended up happening is Alan and I sort of took a step back, where we realized, we were not the correct founders for healthcare, and wanted to look into a few different ideas. One thing that really popped out to us, like even within healthcare, was that this idea of like voice was becoming super transparent, like very obvious. People were doing like AI scribes. You saw like people within assisted living homes actually using AI, like using dictation all the time. Um, like it sort of all clicked together whenever like we went to China actually, and like we saw like people using WeChat on their phone, right? And like if you use WeChat, there's like three buttons, and you can sort of a lot of people usually default to like voice memos or voice dictation, right? Um, since you guys are both Chinese, I'm assuming. Um, and so we're like, okay, how can we make this sort of ubiquitous? And so that's when we created like V1 of Willow, which was around mid-February. It was super simple at first, which is just one button on your keyboard, like the FN key, and it would just like replace Apple dictation, right? And that V1 immediately sort of blew up. That's how we sort of knew we had hit sort of a gold mine. So we spent the next few months building out just a better and better product. Um, and what I mean by better and better product is a lot of it's focused on user experience, and a lot of it's also focused on building out the actual dictation. So the big question we get all the time is how's this different from Apple dictation? What we optimize for with Willow is not necessarily like accuracy of like word to word. It's more of zero edits, right? So after you dictate something, whether it be into Slack, into email, into Cursor, what we want to do is make sure that the user doesn't have to go back and edit again, right? That's what we find to be the biggest pain point. And so that's what we've done. We've built our own models that automatically learn and are able to essentially optimize for users to go to zero edits after dictating. Um, but that's sort of we ended up raising a round during YC's demo day for spring 25. And we announced it in July, and now we're hiring.
Gotcha. And you mentioned that you're a rising junior, so I'm assuming you're dropping out, or are you getting taking like a gap year?
So we dropped out end of freshman year.
Okay, gotcha. And what kind of motivated you to kind of take the leap to become a founder in the first place?
So we got YC. I think YC was probably the biggest push. If we didn't get YC, I don't think there would be as much confidence in sort of taking a full year off. I think that's the great part about YC. It's because it's institutionalized. It gives you sort of a lot of confidence in taking that next step. Yeah, that was the big thing. We had gone YC. I also just think in general, there's no harm in taking a leave. Like you
Mhm,
take a leave to go travel, you take a leave to like go study in Madrid. It's like the
mhm,
exact same thing, I mean, you're just now taking a leave to like do a startup. It's like
mhm.
it's not something that should be scary. It's not something that shouldn't like it's something that should be normalized, I believe. And I think it's really great because it's a lot of self-exploration as well. So like my parents weren't against it. I think once dropping out's a different story, but like being on leave is pretty much not.
Right. And there is a lot of great Stanford startup resources, right? So I got to ask you this question, ASES or BASIS?
Oh man, ASES easily. And Steven, I'm sure this is how you found me as well. This is actually like probably one of my biggest plugs. Like ASES is I think the reason why I am into entrepreneurship right now. Um, so just a few stats. So within my group, so my co-founder's name is Alan, right? I found him through ASES Bootcamp. All of our best friends are ASES Bootcamp. Like literally the people I talk to on a daily basis are all from Bootcamp. Like it's absurd to me. I directed Bootcamp last year, and like all of my bootcampers are also like people I talk to on a daily basis. And then specifically within the last 2 years, we have seen just insane amounts of like success from like ASES. And the thing about ASES is it's very uniquely positioned, right? We're not specifically incubating like talent that is like we're even like before pre-seed, right? So you take kids that literally have zero experience in entrepreneurship, like me. Like I didn't have much experience with entrepreneurship in high school or middle school. And you take them and you bring them into full-fledged entrepreneurs. So from my group alone in my bootcamp year, my freshman year, we ended up 1 year later raising a total of like $9 million. So this is me and Alan, and this is my best friend Amog. And now my third Katie is now the president, right? She's also one of my best friends. And then from my bootcamp cohort, like the one I directed, I just I think from March to like July, every 2 weeks I would get a text from a bootcamper being like, "Hey Lawrence, like should I take a leave?" And then I text them back, and then they'd be like, "Yeah, I took a leave." And this was like the stat ended up being 1 out of 4 of these kids. And the reason why was because they all had their pre-seed or their or they got into YC. So like right now, I mean, I'm sure Basis is a great network and a great community, but like as of now, I think all eyes have been on ASES, and I think VCs are very, very cognizant of just how insane and like how high the hit rate has been in the past 2 years.
Yeah, and there are also a bunch of other demo groups on campus. Have you had experience with that?
I mean, not much. I mean, I
Uh,
know StartX does a great job.
like friends and
That's
family. I don't know if you've.
Oh, friends and family. Yeah, so friends and family, I think is a bit different. It's more of just like a loosely correlated group of builders. I think my sort of like freshman year impression of friends and family is like this like mystical group of just like cracked builders. And like I will say, actually, I think in terms of like pure technical talent, friends and family is probably better than like most other groups on campus in terms of like technical builder talent, right? If you go like pure technical talent, like you probably should go for like ACM or like SSI or something, like those kids are like insanely cracked. But like pure like technical entrepreneurship talent, like I think friends and family like wins easily over like any big group like ACES or basis.
Right.
Um, yeah, and friends and family I think is I still hold everyone there in very high regard. They're all people that have like are actually building like insane things that I cannot see myself ever doing.
Okay, out of all the demo days, what was the first thing you ever demoed at Stanford?
I actually ended up never demoing at friends and family. We never got the chance. I really only got acquainted with friends and family post ACES bootcamp
Hmm.
because I was trying to find like another community to be a part of. And I just got too nervous. Like when I'm saying I hold people at friends and family in very high regard, like I'm just like, oh my God, like this is like the group of like startup founders at Stanford. And I mean, what I've heard is like the community is like it's a lot less tight. There's like, it's not as organized as like sort of like an incubation program like bootcamp or like CV or like StartX. But like just the fact you're in network and like you get to talk to these people, I think it's just like like people in friends and family are usually like insanely cracked.
So recently there has been a lot of hot debates on the internet about the Stanford founders, right? So I'm actually going to read you a couple of tweets and we'd like to get your response to that. Okay, I'm going to start slow, right? Okay, ready?
Yeah.
All my Stanford friends was thinking about dropping out since the day they enrolled.
I think it's very similar. Like how like in Berkeley music, it's like, oh, if you didn't drop out, you didn't make it. Like it's kind of the same here. Like I think dropping out's also been like very glorified. Like this is something I've actually talked to right now with the current bootcamp directors, and I think a discussion that needs to be had actually is like I don't think dropping out is necessarily the right move. There's and you can see like Paul Graham and like people at YC are also very like against dropping out. I guess Paul Graham, the YC people aren't, but like that's why YC started their new sort of like delayed enrollment or like whatever they're expected this early decision program, right?
Mhm.
Is because they don't want kids dropping out. I think it's like dropping out, you sacrifice a ton of opportunity. Like if I dropped out later, I probably would know so many more people. If I dropped out earlier, I'd probably know no one, right? Like I think for us, we got really lucky that we found a golden opportunity, which was voice AI. But I think there's so many sacrifices you make, like insane amounts of sacrifices you make dropping out. Like you are not going to meet people for the sake of like making friends in the real world. It's just not possible. Like the people you make in college are like the best friends you'll have for the rest of your life. And if you don't get that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're not going to naturally make friends for the rest of your life, I think, honestly.
Mhm.
So it's like it's just an insane sacrifice, but
Yeah,
unless you have like you're building a unicorn, like it's probably not worth dropping out.
yeah, right. Stanford undergrads be doing one and done like their NBA lottery picks.
I mean, I think that's pretty true. Like
Yeah,
I think a lot of Stanford founders are pretty ballsy. Stanford lets us be pretty ballsy.
okay. Okay, moving on to the next one. Stanford, the only place where dropout founders go flex their education while building the next big thing nobody asked for.
This is actually pretty true. In the sense that like this is actually exactly what happened for us. I think for the general purpose audience, this is probably not true, but for like Willow, this was pretty true. For me, it's not like people like I think a lot of people build to build, and that's like a very big mindset entrepreneurs have. Like if you're a builder, like you build things that are exciting, right? And there's no necessarily blame for doing that, right? Like I want to build like, oh, what's a semantic way to like search through my chat messages, right? Like that's such a cool project I want to build, right? But like if you actually ask like are people gonna pay for it? Probably not, right? But like I mean it's in the stage, it's in the evolution of any entrepreneur. You build for yourself, you realize that okay, I need to get revenue, I need to listen to customers, and then you do that, right? Like there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just in the lifeline of like every entrepreneur.
All right. So recently you shared some of your takes on what work culture in Silicon Valley, 996 or 997, and you've gotten some response from the community on X.
Yeah, so it was like purely for rage bait. It was legitimately just fully a joke. Like the part that was so funny to me about that tweet or like that LinkedIn post I made was I literally flew in to like see my parents and my sister. Like I left work in San Francisco like Friday night and I flew back in on the red eye at 9 a.m. So like the total trip cost like $700. And like to me that was really funny because I was like very clearly like I'm putting like in my own I just thought it was so funny because like I put family like above money very easily and I put family like above startup as well. And I think that's the way it should be. So I just thought the tweet was really like meta ironically funny, right? Um but I guess this touches on the bigger trend of like making rage bait posts. I guess that was like sort of the things like, oh, like why are these people always like making rage bait posts to try to go viral? For us, like it was legitimately not even to try to go viral. It's just funny. Like so, Alan, my friend's my co-founder, has a brother. He's running this company called Noon AI. His posts are just insanely funny. He's like, he had a post very simply. He's like, oh yeah, like we don't give our like employees bathroom breaks. Like their bathroom breaks are timed. And I think the general public, like I think like if you're not in Silicon Valley, you don't understand the humor. And I think that's or like even if you are in Silicon Valley, you understand the humor. Like, I think a lot of people just don't find it funny. I just thought it was genuinely like comedic. Like, I thought it was the funniest thing I posted. So I like reread it and I just laughed to myself, right? I just guess a lot of people took it extremely seriously and were just really like, why is this kid like doing this? And I'm like, man, it's expected, right? But I genuinely thought it was just comedic, man. Like, I will probably make another post like that, like, but it's, I don't know if it's a good look for the company, I'll be honest. Like, the good thing about Rage Bait posts is like, number one, it's funny. It's actually like genuinely funny to read. Um, Number two, actually, like usually it helps convert. Like,
Mhm.
unfortunately, I don't think that like the Twitter quote post did not convert. Like, I think the amount
Okay.
of impressions got like 200,000 impressions did not translate very well into like signed up users. I think all it translated to was like just people calling me racist things in comments, and like, okay, well, that didn't pay off. That was just like a bad look for the company. So probably nothing like that.
Feel like now more and more people are using that strategy, but as you said, like sometimes it doesn't convert. But I do think like this type of marketing that with some iterations, it might have like an engine that going on, like the clearly thing that they kind of hire influencers to do it. Yeah, maybe there is a way for like growth hacking steps, like using this type of like rage baiting.
Even Cluely, I think they're making the product speak for themselves. Like, I actually tried the product.
Mm,
I think it was pretty like really impressive. For us, like I think for any entrepreneur, like if you end up just using like just pure top of funnel growth and your product
mm,
has like is very leaky, very like churn heavy, like you're not going to be successful either. Like at the end of the day, like
mm,
for us at Willow, it's like it's literally always product. Like
mhm,
I can just turn out one of these posts in like 10 minutes and just call it a day and just have it be funny. Like
mhm,
like unless like because I'm not dedicating a significant amount of time to it, like it's not our main growth driver. It's just like an additional growth driver
mhm,
that's additionally really fun to do.
mhm,
Um, but like I think people that have like made it like one of their main drivers of growth is like if it works, it works. But like
mhm,
then you have
mhm,
to lock in on it and do it for like 5 hours a day.
mhm,
Actually optimize statistics, but for us it's not. It's
mhm.
just something fun.
Gotcha. And back to the product story, you mentioned that you were building for healthcare at the very start. I actually can't imagine you being in healthcare and trying to build in that kind of space. So, walk us through the kind of like the initial idea and how you kind of decided to pivot and all those stories.
Yeah, there is a lot of pivots. Okay. So we started with an AI EHR, essentially, like AI native EHR, a very, very typical idea. For us, it was targeting assisted living facilities, like 5 beds, 6 beds, right? There's some statistic right now that like, okay, 50% of these like assisted living facilities are on paper.
Mm,
And so our thing is, okay, can we help migrate them over to something easier, right? Which would be something virtual like an EHR. What you fail to realize is like statistics actually just don't account for 90% of people that like you can't make assumptions like that, right? Like our thesis was like, okay, like people want to go into like pen and paper, like get off of pen and paper, but like you walk into a facility, 90% of people don't. They're fine with
mm,
what they have. And also just like the budget for these assisted living facilities is so low. Like you're bargaining like $1 to $2 per seat. I'm like, okay, this
mm,
is $100 a month. Like, okay, great. Like
mm,
now I need to sign like 100 more to,
mm,
like get substantial revenue. Like it's not worth the time. The second one was like move-ins. Okay, so like can we wedge into the AI native VHR? Okay, let's target
mm,
move-ins, like move-in paperwork, right?
mm,
Same thing. It's like like assisted living facilities don't have the budget. Then we were like, okay, let's get away from assisted living facilities, go to like skilled nursing, so on and so forth. There's a little bit, we're also doing like compliance regulations, so essentially RAG over like assisted living compliance. Same
mm,
thing, people don't pay. Skilled nursing facilities were like essentially coding, right? Can we automate
mm,
the coding process because you have a coder who like just manually flips through but you realize there's also so much that goes into coding and like coding's not fully honest, right? Like
Mhm.
you want to like code things to get higher reimbursements, right? Like it's people actually like want to optimize for it. That's why you have a coder.
Mhm.
That didn't work out. Um, and then we did like AR, like RCM essentially. Um, so and I mean, so yeah, it was like a lot of it was just like every single idea was just like we cannot get people to pay for it. Like I don't necessarily think these are bad ideas. I just think we're not the founders for it.
Mhm.
Um, and like that's what you're saying. Like, yeah, I can imagine in healthcare. Yeah, neither can I. I'm not. I don't think I
Mhm.
look like I'd be in healthcare. I don't have the
Mhm.
experience for it. Um, it's just it's so hard. Like in young founders that can make healthcare work, I have like nothing but like massive amounts of respect for. It's just so hard to sell, and it's very
Mhm.
difficult.
How did you, so you mentioned a little bit about like the WeChat story, right? Like people doing like dictation on WeChat, and that's how you kind of come up with this new idea. So elaborate on that and help us understand the process of like pivoting from healthcare eventually into this new idea for Willow.
So the pivot process from healthcare was very like there's so many ideas in between as well.
Mhm.
Um, we had done we had done something like we had done like an like AI like a telecom service. We done something for like body cams for police officers. We like done like growth stuff like AEO SEO. It's like there's so many ideas that just didn't stick. And voice dictation was one of them that like probably like we didn't think would stick or like we thought would stick, but like basically what happens is we spent 2 weeks to build the product, released it, and we're like, okay, if this doesn't work, if we don't get paying customers, like we'll just pivot again, right? But we got our first paying customer. I still remember this day. Um, like I was going to the gym at Ariaga, like near Yaga, and then I looked at my phone and like but back then we were texting all of our customers, right? So what we do is like very similar to like B2B outreach. We like outreach to them, be like, hey, would you use a dictation product? Dictation's weird because you can't really like measure, I think, customer need, especially for people that haven't used dictation before. And so like I remember I got this this text from this guy called Mark. He's from Maine. He's like, yeah, Lawrence, like I paid for the product. Like I think it's great. I remember I just called Alan. It's like, oh my God, like we just got our first paying customer. Like I saw the stripe. And like at that moment, I was like, I think we hit gold because we had such a bad product. It was crashing every 2 minutes. Like it just wouldn't work half the time. Like it didn't work with like external audio devices, right? It was like, wow, if we can get someone paying with this, then like I think this is like a pretty big gold mine. So then from there, like once you get your first paying customer, like you have confidence, right? And that's what it gave us. Like we got our confidence from like Mark paying for it. So I think that image is still like burned in my head. Like I just remember that was like amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds great.
awesome.
Yeah. So last question. What advice would you give a current Stanford student debating between starting a company, joining big tech, or something else entirely?
I think everyone that I know that has joined big tech has found it to be like very boring after. And I think most Stanford students are okay, let me restart because my throat. Um, so I think every person that I've talked to that has joined big tech has always been extremely bored after like a year or two. Um, and I think Stanford students are extremely ambitious, so usually like it doesn't work out, it doesn't pan out correctly. I think I think startup is something a lot of ambitious people should go for because it gives you like very personal drive, very personal like motivation, gives you a reason to wake up, right? Um, I think the real question is like, is if you should like drop out or not. I think taking leave is yes, like every Stanford student should do, no matter what. Like, I actually am a big believer of that. Like, you should always take leave because you'll go back to school with more appreciation of like your friends, of like what you're learning. I think there's literally like only upside to taking like a 1 to 2 quarter leave. After that, the real question is like, okay, after you've taken 2 quarters of leave, should you like drop out or like should you like leave indefinitely? I think that is a question of if you are going to build like a unicorn, like if you know you are, you should probably not leave to be a founding engineer unless you're like sure it's like the next Mercor. You probably should not leave to like work at big tech. You probably should not leave to like work at quant. Like you should probably only leave if you know like the upside is literally like billions of dollars because there's literally nothing else that can replace the college experience, like in my eyes. So for like Willow, like the amount of like drive that I think Alan and I have right now into building this into a company, we think the opportunity for voice AI is literally limitless. Like it's literally an inevitable future that people will be talking to their devices because that is just what humans are made to do. For the first time in history, like technology is there. The market is primed in Silicon Valley. The market is going to be primed in the general world within the next 2 years. We are like at the perfect time to strike the market. So that is why like I'm dropped out. Like I know this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So unless you have something like where like everything aligns very perfectly like that, like you should probably stay in school because that will give you higher ROI.
Yeah. Lawrence, it's great to have you here today. Hope everyone had fun chatting. Any last thing you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, two things. So Willow Voice, we're launching an iOS app. You're gonna see it within the next 2 weeks. So if you see this podcast as well, stay on the lookout. And number two, we are hiring. So we're looking for electron engineers, as well as ML engineers. You can go to willowvoice.com/careers, find the descriptions.